which is which. If you look, whilst you're here, if you look up here, it's written pedal pistons on solo, swell, great, and choir. And then this should be pretty obvious as the pedal down here.
So what about that echo channel? Is that not a thing?
Okay, so the echo has not been installed. Yeah, and there are a few pipes, a few stops which haven't been installed, like the tuba mirabilis. They just didn't finish. And unfortunately, people do get excited by the harp, which also isn't there. So sorry about the harp. So how do these things work? So the solo keyboard, or the solo division, is controlled by the solo stops. So if I pull out one of these and play there, then I get it, but it's not sounding anywhere else.
So you can pull a bunch of different stops out, and then you get 5 or 6, whatever, different voices.
Yeah.
But only for that keyboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is really the.
So can you explain that again?
Okay. So the if we're just working on the solo,
yeah,
you hear that one note there is one sound.
Yep.
One pipe is sounding. That one's not actually a sound. Cool. So you get the idea, and those numbers that I referred to before are really good guides as to what pitch of sound you're likely to get. So on the solo, the lowest one is a 16. So that gets pretty low, but yeah, so pretty quiet. Right, don't worry, we haven't got anywhere yet.
What's that? The
quintaton.
Quintaton.
Can I get louder?
Put that light on.
The volume pedal?
No, that's fully open.
Is that volume down there? For each?
I'll get to that. So yeah, some really great sounds, and the solo is kind of one of the most interesting divisions. It's got more unusual kind of sounds in it. So when you're writing, I reckon rather than just go, oh, a flute celeste, yeah, I want to have a flute, just pull it out and listen to it. Go, yeah, that's my flute celeste, and think if you want to use it, and if you put it in combination, you'll notice that I've got an 8, a 4 and a 2. And that's a very, very kind of traditional way of building up an organ thing. The 4-foot is kind of meant to be I think on an organ they say like the principal 4, that's like bass line. That's and it's, I think, if you think that's middle C, and that's what we call this C, middle C. But you just build them up. So just because I say 8, 4 and 2 doesn't mean you can't put four foots together. That's a very common thing to do. You will find that once you add on certain stops, so like for example if you put on some of these big diapasons, like you can barely hear any difference once you get some of these more subtle stops on. So there's no the idea of I'm going to have every stop on. It's kind of, you can do that kind of, but it's not a musically intelligent choice necessarily.
So are the numbers the length of
the numbers are the length of the lowest pipes.
Yeah.
So on the great, which is this keyboard here, we've got a 32 foot.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, so that's those numbers. These Roman numeral numbers refer to the mixtures, and they're all, well, most of them are written as a mixture. And that's what I referred to before. This one's got 5 pipes playing at one time.
Just them little ones, yeah.
Yeah. But you know, that's a 2 foot. 2 foot. The lowest note you're hearing there is 2 foot long, and they're going up from there. Numbers that aren't divided by 2 are notes that aren't octaves, you know, or tonics. So somewhere we had
They're all
to
2s on
3.
that one.
So you hear that's the 5th above.
So what's 2 2/3 then? Is that a third?
2 2/3. But that one is actually 6 to 7. So either 6 or 7 pipes being played in that.
Does the harp work on that one?
No, the harp doesn't work on anywhere. So you will find that some ranks appear on more than one division. So you can access. So like the trumpet Victoria is the loudest one in the thing. So I should play that. And you can find that over on the swell as well, for example. You play it both, you only get one. But you can maybe do that.
The ones that we can actually see, the 7 in the middle and the 4 on each side.
That's a good question. I think it might be. Sure if it's maybe these ones. No, it's not definitely not those ones. Sorry. Oh yeah, I've discovered something probably worth knowing. Is these really loud ones, the really brassy ones, can cancel out the other ones. So what I did then is not making any difference. As soon as I take that away, it'll play them. So just watch out for that if you're not getting the sounds that you're expecting.
What does fan
So how did you
mean?
let go of that while it was still playing?
Say again?
So was the sound excess from like the air pushing through them, or were you still holding down the key when at the end?
So you can.
Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of like whether you. I mean, the normal way to produce a sound is you select the stop and then you play the notes. But there's nothing to say you can't add stops or take them off as you holding down notes. And it's kind of a very you know, an organist's kind of flourishes that they kind of get to, you know, of the end of a piece, and they're going like this, go, and then they sit there and they pull out things. They go, oh yeah, I'm going to get that one, and I'm going to take the trombone in there. And it's not really demonstrating it.
Trumpet Victoria.
Thank you.
So they are presets along there.
Yeah. So there's everything. Most of what you see here is actually refers to a sound. So all of these are the names of stops. The red things should be probably pretty clear for you guys. So you've got an octave above, sub-octave. They're adding, and if you can take the unison off, so it's just the octave below. Don't get too excited with, say, something like the 32. You go, oh, yeah, I'll just put the sub-octave on. Unfortunately, we don't. Didn't build a whole nother 12 notes down there.
You'd be able to hear it anyway, would you?
But you might feel it.
Yeah, it'll make a difference. But, yeah. And then there's the tremulants, which work better on some than others. Can you hear that a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. And basically, there's just a box. Yeah. Sometimes it takes a little while to kick in, but there's just a box basically moving air back and forth to create that tremulant.
Is controlled.
Say again?
They're like, this is the standard rhythm for the tremulant.
Yes.
Static.
Yeah. But you find that the different ones on different divisions do work a bit differently. You can can't really hear that
Yeah, you can.
start
I
up.
heard
And there's one over here. The Vox Humana is a feature of this instrument and meant to sound like a human
String.
voice.
Sounds like string.
And it has its own tremulant just for it. That's quite a different kind of one. It also has its own mute, if you want to. Yeah. So, yeah, most of the divisions, they'll have the same four things. Octave, suboctave, unison, off, and tremulant. Then up here, you basically have your who's actually, is anyone actually planning to play live?
I will probably have
Maybe.
that.
yeah, maybe a little
Yeah.
bit.
All right. So you can what's the normal word for it? Where you route something to another keyboard. So if I choose that on the grate and this on the swell. So maybe I should. So I've got that up there. Now if I go choose swell to
Swell to solo, is it?
swell to grade. Swell to grade, then I get everything on the grade.
Cool.
Yeah? And that's one way that you can build up sounds, particularly if you go, if you're playing live, you want to go, I just need more, then even if you think you've got everything out on the grade, well, you can just have everything out on the swell in the same.
Can you control them with MIDI?
You can through SysX. Yes. So, but if you're doing it in MIDI, you could just play just have the same part for whatever's on the swell. Anyway, yes, you can. What else do we need to know? We should know about the pedals down here, and these are what we call expression pedals. And what the swell division is, in all organs, it's enclosed in a box. So without too many lights on, I don't know if we're going to be able to see. Anyway, what's happening there is the pedal is controlling a set of louvers, and so those louvers are now fully open, and now as I press the pedal back, they are closing. So each pipe just has its own speaking volume, and there's no way to actually control how, you can't force more into a pipe to make it louder, but you can control a set of pipes through the expression pedal. And so there's one here for the swell. The solo has one as well.
So that's the closest to like volume control that you kind of get.
Yeah, the main volume control is by choosing your sounds. You want
Yeah,
it soft, choose a soft sound. You want
Yeah.
it loud, choose a loud sound, or a combination of sounds which make it loud. That's really the main way of your dynamic control. So there's one for the solo, there's one for the swell, there's one for what's here, enk, gut, and ch, which is enclosed, grate, and choir. The grate division has this section here. These pipes are enclosed, so they are behind these shutters. So if I pull those out, I can control them. But something that can often confuse people is that this section down here is unenclosed, and these are some pretty well used and important ones. I can do whatever I want with that pedal. They're opening and closing, but it's not affecting the volume of those ones. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whose field recorder is that? Is that yours?
It's mine.
Yeah, good job.
And then there's the echo and orchestra. So we already know that the echo isn't there. The orchestra or the orchestral division is what's called a floating division. So it doesn't have its own keyboard, but you can choose where you want it to play. So you can choose to have it sound on the swell. But if I don't have it on, it's not going to sound. Similarly, I need to find the...
So can you have it on multiple, going to multiple boards?
Yeah.
And then like control, put both the boards to what you're one playing and then have it come through all of it, sort of thing?
So you're saying, can I put the orchestral on the swell and then maybe put the swell to the grate?
Yeah, and then...
Does that come out?
Yeah, and then it makes...
It doesn't.
Okay. Should it?
Why? If you wanted to play the swell on the grate,
Yeah.
you would just... Sorry, if you wanted to play this division on the grate, you would just play it on the grate.
But doesn't when you play it with the grate that plays the swell and the grate?
Yes. So at the moment I'm getting these three and that.
What? Oh, it's just not pointless.
Took 2 hours.
And then if I pull these out, I'm getting those as well because I've got swell to grate on.
Oh, yeah.
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 But if I take that off,
Different voices.
Yeah.
I've just got this and those.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's now without that.
Okay.
Sorry, could you explain those top ones again? How they work?
They're like patches. They're like patches.
Yeah.
So you can add. It's kind of like making adding things to. Like let's say you get a sound which you like.
All
Say on the
swells
swell.
to swell.
I've got this sound. You go, yep, I love that sound.
Yeah.
And then you go, I want this part that I've written to include
Especially when you got like 30 seconds to set up.
the glockenspiel,
Yep.
which
3 different setups.
which is up here on the solo. Okay.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. Doesn't have the full range, so it only goes down to the F up to C, like a real glockenspiel.
Sounds so much like
That's not air, guys. That's a real glockenspiel. That's like
Oh,
a glockenspiel.
yeah, I was like, wow.
freaking out.
There's a little guy back there.
So,
So, where was I? I want this sound plus the glockenspiel.
yeah.
So I could go like this. But let's say with this hand I was busy doing something down here.
Yeah.
Then I could just go solo to swell.
It's not working.
Why not? Maybe they do something like that. Because these are kind of effecty ones.
What if
so-
it's swell to solo?
No, it's definitely... So you can hear that one's in there. even though I'm playing on the swell.
So it just combines a bit of the solo sound.
Yeah, sometimes the makers with these things really actually trick you. They decide what you should be able to do and you shouldn't. So there you go. You can't
So your
put the
patches might not
glockenspiel
work.
on. Well, there you go. I've demonstrated that it doesn't work for something like the glockenspiel.
Okay.
Did it answer your question?
Yeah, so it makes a combination of the sounds, kind of? Is that what?
On one key.
Yeah. So I've got
yeah.
that up there. Without this, I've got that down there.
Yeah.
If I put this on, I've got them both there, but I've still got my original sound up there.
Okay.
But this kind of like, if you had 4 different channels, you're just going to cancel out one of your MIDI channels if you did that, if you send that thing.
This is really, I mean,
It's for when you're playing.
It's really for playing live.
It's not for when
Yeah.
you're MIDIing it. Yeah.
I mean, I can see a circumstance where you might want to do it, but if you're doing MIDI, you've got kind of more control than a player does.
Yeah, well, 5 going.